Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
Luke Hobbs and Deckard Shaw. We've got unfinished business. Shaw's sister took something from me. A virus that could wipe out half of the population, and I want it back.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Adolf. I have with me Jake.
Howdy, folks.
And today we're reviewing the movie aspect of the Fast and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. So, we talked about the quote-unquote 3D element. Let's talk about the movie element. So, how is the movie, Jake? I did not watch this, by the way.
It's big, stupid, bombastic. This is a big, dumb action movie. It's mindless fun. It knows it. It doesn't care, and it delivers the action. It's about 30 minutes too long, but there's so much. If you really love action, you are going to be sated.
So what's the story here? Have you watched all the other Fantastic Four? I mean, not Fantastic Four.
I have never seen a Fast and Furious movie that didn't seem to get in the way, because the only thing I really saw a reference to was to the remake of the Italian Job.
Okay.
They did talk about, there'd be some exposition where they would mention an old job or something, but the plot is so thin in this, it's irrelevant. The plot is the MacGuffin of this movie. It's just set pieces for Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson to yell hilarious insults at each other, and to drive cars and do all sorts of outlandish spy things. This movie is like half James Bond and half Arnold Schwarzenegger action film, with Jason Statham being pretty much the Bond analog and The Rock being the Schwarzenegger character. So it's like a buddy spy movie.
Dwayne Johnson is Hobbs and Jason Statham is Shaw, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm. And Vanessa Kirby is Shaw's sister.
Or Hottie or Hottie? I don't know how they pronounce it in the movie.
I don't either. She's the blonde action hero.
And there's a bad guy here, Idris Elba, who quote-unquote is Black Superman.
Superman, yeah. And he knows exactly what movies he's in. He's learned from his days of being in the second Ghost Rider movie. So this time he played it appropriately. Over the top, bombastic, and charismatic.
Here is the official IMDb synopsis. Lawman Luke Hobbs and outcast Deckard Shaw form an unlikely alliance with a cybergenetic enhanced villain who threatens the future of humanity. Is that basically the story in a nutshell?
Kind of. There's some, a little more. There's a virus that can wipe out the entire Earth, and Vanessa injects it into herself to keep Idris Elba's character from obtaining the capsules. And she's got 72 hours to get it out of her body before she becomes infected and can spread it. Yeah, that's what I just told you is pretty much the excuse to move things forward. This is directed by David Leitch. He's really good at action. Anybody who's seen John Wick and first Deadpool movie can attest to. This is almost like this is a globe-trotting adventure, because this is, like I said, a spy movie, kind of, but they don't really act like spies. They don't really act like officers of the law either. It's just action, and insults. And the insults are really funny. What I found very interesting is they really threaded a hard needle to do in these type of movies. This managed to be such a testosterone-filled movie but it didn't have a misogynistic bone in its body. The women are just as tough and fearless, and I mean, they were treated as equals. I mean, a lot of filmmakers, they need to take a look at this because this really shows you how to do a male action movie and treat the women as equals and not diminish your movie.
Now, I haven't seen them, so I don't know, but I've heard that these movies have a lot of heart to it. Does it have a lot of heart?
Yeah, I mean, you could make a drinking game out of every time they talk about family and every time they say, don't tell me what to do.
Okay. So you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable, mindless action flick. I mean, it's on par with like Rampage, except this has more action and no giant gorillas.
Okay. And you don't really feel like not watching the Fast and Furious franchise beforehand really subtracted anything. You were able to understand what's going on, right?
Oh, I probably enjoy it more because a few Fast and Furious fans I talked to at the theater, they seem to feel like this movie's very existence was an affront to a character named Han, who I don't know who is, haven't seen any of the other movies. So they felt like these characters didn't deserve a spinoff and didn't deserve to be in the franchise at all. But I came at this as a rock movie directed by David Leitch with Jason Statham in tow. So I enjoyed it on that. Oh yeah, and I should mention, it's not a spoiler. Cliff Curtis plays one of Hobbs's brothers, and it's not, you might remember him from the early seasons of Fear the Walking Dead as the father. So it was nice seeing him again after he left Fear.
Okay, so what do you give it? What do you think overall?
I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, what's not great about it?
Okay, there were a few pacing issues and a few logic issues. And this movie runs over 2 hours.
Ooh.
That was, I think, excessive for this type of movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's 2 incredible cameos that have really nothing to do with the Fast and Furious franchises. One of them has to do with David Leitch, and another one has to do with The Rock. They're delightful, they're great characters, and I hope they appear in a sequel. And they are end credits. There are lots and lots of end credits. So stay through all of them. They are funny.
All right, I guess that's it for this podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
All right, before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support. All right, so that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, little bit everywhere. Just look for us 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3dortwo2d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.